Hello everybody, this is Jackie from the Studio for Art and Craft here in Cobleskill. And what are we looking at tonight? We are looking at the top of a pumpkin. I will turn it around for you, or maybe turn it sideways. This is a tiny little pumpkin. It's not tiny, but it's, sort of fits in the palm of my hand. But I'm going to show you our Dotty Pumpkin technique. We have lots of sizes of pumpkins. I don't know why I'm limiting it to 3. But basically, if you're going to do this project along with us, it's actually a 2-part project, if you will. Although you can do it all at one sitting because it dries pretty quickly. The first thing is you'll get your pumpkin will be will be unglazed. This one's got some orange. I've already put my orange on it, and then the green and the black. But you'll get yours without that, and you'll get your base coats, and you're going to put 3 coats on with a brush. Okay, so you'll put 1 coat on, and then when it's dry, and dry means not shiny anymore, you'll put your 2nd coat on, and then you'll do your 3rd coat, same way. And then if you want to, you can paint the eyes, the face in with the black, and you can choose a brown or a green. We'll give you your choices for your stem. Now, by the time you're done doing that, especially if you start with the orange first, it'll be dry enough to dot on because we're not putting a design on this. I'm going to take you step by step through it right now in terms of the design that we have for this. But it doesn't really require any marking, which is why it doesn't have to be completely dry. So we're going to start out. This is our dotting tool that if you've dotted with us before, you'll be familiar with. All right, it's got 8 tips to it. It starts with tip number 1 over here. This is the smallest one, and it goes all the way around up to tip number 8. So the colors I'm using for this are black, red, yellow, gray, and white. So you'll look at it, you'll decide. You can always pick your own colors. We don't tell you what to do. We barely tell you how to do it. And then you could always do what you want from there. So I'm going to start on this one by using my tip number 3, and I'm going to dip it in my black, and I'm going to put 1 dot on the top of each of these sections. I'm going to work each section of the pumpkin. Now, I'm actually not going to do every section. And the reason is because we're going to lay this down. You won't really be able to do every section at the same time because you have to wait for one side to dry before you can turn it over once we get down here where you're going to have to turn it on its side. So I'm just going to do the 3 sections so you get a feel for it. I might actually only end up doing 1 section, but then you're just repeating the same design in each section. So you can just hit rewind. What does they call that now? You're just going to go back a little bit. It's not rewind. That tells you how old I am. Okay, so we have some black there. That's fine. We're now going to go up to tip number 8, our largest tip, and dip it in the red. And we're going to leave a little bit of room here, okay? So we're going to put that red dot right about here. All right, now you can see already I need to hold it up and let it dry a little bit. Now, you don't have to let it dry completely. You just need to hold it up enough so that the edges start to dry, okay? And that will help hold in the glaze. The visual I'm thinking of is like when I make a fried egg in the pan, right? The edge is crisp first, and that holds the rest of the egg in and allows it to cook. We're kind of doing the same thing here. And there's no egg. Don't eat the pumpkin. It's made of clay. All right, so what we're going to do around that red is we're going to take our gray on tip number 1, and I'm going to start actually at the bottom here, and I'm going to put a dot, and then I'm going to continue and put little dots all the way up without, notice how I'm not redipping, okay, up to the top. So you can see that nice and clear. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to turn my pumpkin because I'm left-handed, and so I always dot from the left because I'm stronger on that side. So I dipped again, and I'm going to very lightly put my next dot because I don't want it to be the same size as this one. I want it the same size as this one. So I have to be very light with it. All right, and then I do it. You can always add more. You can add less. So I keep going until I get it lined up. And now I'm going to come all the way around and fill in, okay? So that's what the design is that you're going to do next on the top of each section. So we're going to go all the way around like that. But, you know, like I said, for the sake of being able to take you through this step by step, I'm just going to do the one section. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a little bit of white. I'm going to go with tip number 5 and the white, and I'm going to put one dot. I'm going to leave, again, a little bit of space, and I'm going to put a dot here. All right. Then I'm going to jump down to tip number 3, and I'm going to do what I call it, kind of like a Y, right? A dot over here. You might want to dip and dot on both of these so they come out the same size. Maybe think of it as eyes. It looks eyes-like to me. I don't know what it looks like to you. But that's what I've got for that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with tip number 3 again, and I'm going to do underneath here a dot, dot, dot. Okay? Now what I'm going to do is actually do the same thing in reverse, coming up from here in black. So I'm going to do this one backwards. So I'm going to start with tip number 3. And I'm going to start right about here. I'm going to do dot, dot, dot. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side, but I'm going to turn my pumpkin around so I don't put my hand in the wet glaze. I'm going to do a dot, dot, dot. I'm going to turn it around again because I'm going to do this one first. And then I'm going to use my number 5 and put one big dot at the base of that. Boom. That's all dotting sounds in case you didn't know what you were listening to. Boom. And then I'm going to go back to number 3 with the black and make what would have been my eyes if I was, well, like watch this. When I turn it this way to do this side, it'll be the eyeballs again. So we've got the same design but going down. Nice and simple, but really cool looking. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take our number 8 again. Or not again. We have, we use the 8. We're going to use the 8 in the yellow, and we're going to put one dot beneath each of these. Doesn't have to be far away. I'm going to turn it to put my second one on. Okay. Because we're just going to leave that alone for now. I'm not going to do anything else there. And then I'm going to take my black, also with the 8, and make the nose, so to speak. All right, and then the last thing that we're going to do over here, we're going to just kind of let all that stuff dry, is we're going to take, just want to make sure I'm doing what I think I want to do, and I agree with myself. Shoo. I'm going to take the black again, but I'm going to use the tip number 5 this time. Okay, and I'm just going to put a dot a little further down here because I'm going to go around this one again with the number 1 tip, and I'm going to go around it with the yellow from the bottom. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now everybody dots differently, so you heard me count and I had 5 dots, but you may be a heavier dotter or a lighter dotter. 1, okay, I get enough on there. So you may not have the same number, 1, and I just need 3 in between because the 1 and the 5 were the top and the bottom. Now I want you to do that again, but with the red. Same number 1 tip, but here's what'll be different. 1, 2, 3. Oh, I don't have to count. It's not that interesting. But my point that I want to show you is I'm going to stop before I get to my black dot there. The most important thing here is not to run into dots that are already there. Dots that are already there have the right of way. So I'm just going to add more dots around this side. Now you're going to see that when I did that, my second set of dots came out bigger. So what does that mean? I can go back and I can add a little bit to my other dots so that they're even. The most important thing about dotting is you can always add more. You can't add less. But what I don't want you to do is wiggle your tip around to try to get a bigger circle. Just add more to the middle and it will blend away, okay? That's all you need to do. And now what we're going to do is we're going to put a white dot using tip number 3 on each side. One over here. Oh, I'm going to be brave. Okay, and one over here. And then I'm going to take my gray with my dot number 2. And I'm going to go down, dot, 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 dot on either side. But I am going to turn it for this because I feel like I would dump my hand in it otherwise. Try a little bit more glaze there. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now that's kind of the basics of my design. The other thing I'm going to want to do is a little bit of what I call double dotting over here. So on this black one in the middle, I'm going to take my number 3 tip and the white, and I'm going to put a drop of white right in the middle there. Okay. You know, when you're putting a middle in wet glaze, you just want to kind of can you see how when I touch it, the glaze comes back up to the tip, and obviously the same thing works in reverse. So let the paint suck it in. I'll show it to you on the yellow. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to take the red, also with the number 3 tip, and I'm going to touch it to the yellow and just let it suck in to that wet yellow. Okay. I waited a little bit to do this. I didn't do it before because I wanted it to soak up a little bit. I wanted the edges, you know, to get hard, to dry a little bit so that the paint won't run. And then the last thing I'm going to do is I'm also going to do a dot in the middle. And I'm going to put a little bit of a yellow dot in the middle over here. I'm also using tip number 3. I'm just sticking with tip number 3. That's funny. It's really wanting to stay with me. So there we go. There you go. There you go. Okay, so that, you know, you can go back and keep doing more to that. So for example, if you wanted more double dotting, you could do that in any of these. But this is my basic design that I use. Oh, I forgot. On this big red one up here, I'm also going to use my tip number 3 and my yellow and put a dot in there. I forgot to tell you that. Okay, so that's actually what I have it looking like. I want you to have the idea of this because you actually can do just about anything that you want with this. You can have a lot of fun with it. But what I'm going to do now is it looks like it's dry enough for me to do another one next to it, so I will do one repeat. So I'm going to use my number 8 tip. I'm going to do this one because I'm left-handed and I don't have to worry about it so much. And put my dot up here. Clean that off. And I'm going to take my number 1 tip with the gray, and I'm going around it. I want more gray. Okay. And then I dip again because I'm going to the other. So now I have to watch out a little bit. I have to pick it up to kind of doing it sideways. There you go. I got it. You will too. Take your time. You can also wait, of course, until your paint dries, but that's silly for me. Why do that when I can make it very difficult myself and maybe smear it? So I'm using my number 5 with the white. And if it's, you know, if that one didn't come out the same size, I just re-dip it and hold it on just a little bit longer. That'll make the dot a little bit bigger. Then I'm going to jump down to my number 3 for my Y or my eyes, depending on how you see it. Get it, punny? See it? Okay, never mind. And then I'm going to use my number 3 again and do my dot, dot, dot down the middle. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to do the exact same thing in reverse with the black. So I'm going to start with my number 3. I'm going to do, now the 3 is a little thinner than the white, so I have to dot a little bit lighter. You know, not quite such a heavy hand, otherwise my dots come out very differently sized. Then I'm going to use my number 5. Sorry, I dropped my paints. That's not just really what I'm going for. To add a big dot, but again, I'm going to do it lightly first. Oh, thanks, Iris. Yeah, this is fun. I'm getting ready for the season. All right, and then I'm going to use number 3 also with the black to do my little eyes. 1, 2. 1, 2. Okay. I'm going to put my tool. Oh, okay, so now what I'm going to do is do the yellow, which I did with the number 8 tip. I'm going to come here, do that one on the side. All right, and then I'm going to come back and do the black in the middle. Then I'm going to drop down to the number 5 with the black. Put that right here. And I'm going to start going around the black with my number 1 tip, first with the yellow, starting at the bottom. And then with the red. I know, it's very quiet. I'm working alone today. And then the last thing I'm going to do is with I'm going to do a white number 3. On each side of that, boom, boom. And then I'm just going to do my gray with the smaller tip, tip number 1. Just put 4, in this case I'm putting 4 down each side. But anyway, I wanted to do the second one so I could just show you really how that design how the design builds. It's kind of hard to get a good view of it here. But let me see if I can do that. Get a better view from the side. Oh yeah. Oh, I have to do my double dotting. I forgot about that. But anyway, that's the basic idea. I'm going to use my number 3 tip in the different colors to add a second one. And basically, I mean, if you're cleverer than me, perhaps, and can hold on to it from the top and just tilt it around, you probably can do all your sides without having to wait for it to dry. But that's what I'm going to do. And I look forward to seeing your pumpkins, and thanks for joining us.